Ontario is the richest province and one of the richest countries in the world, and yet we're the province with the least funding to education.
It's true that Ontario is one of the lowest education funding provinces in Canada. However, it is not one of the richest provinces. Ontario is actually the most indebted sub-sovereign borrower in the entire world. In 2018 to 2019, Ontario had the highest debt in the world, and currently Ontario has over $459 billion of debt, with an increase of 164% from 2006 to 2026. And even Canada is now poorer than Alabama per capita. So this misconception that we're rich and we're all good is completely false.
So you're saying, like, going into debt, what is it better for Ford to do with our taxes? Just hand them off to private investors to build whatever the fucking profit off of us?
Yeah, so whether Ford goes into debt literally handing our money to private investors or using it on social spending, it'll be the same result. Ontario's over $400 billion of debt is owned by private domestic investors and foreign investors through pension funds, insurance companies, Canadian banks, and private investors that hold mutual funds and ETFs. So going into more debt on social spending will still enrich private investors that own our bonds. These people that own the debt are getting richer as Canadians get poorer and are destroying our own buying power by flooding the market with all of this extra money. 74% of debt is owned domestically and 26% is foreign owned, so the rich people, foreigners, and old people in Canada that own pensions and assets are getting these investments completely boosted by the spending that these students are advocating for. You're literally making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
I mean, the debt can be private or the debt can be public. I mean, what's the alternative? We have the government spend on us, and now we have this, like, public debt. Let's say they're funding OSAP, and now we have a public debt versus individual people taking on individual loans that they won't be able to pay off.
So this is what's called a false dichotomy. The idea that there's only two options. Either the province holds the debt or private individuals go into debt. See, the irony is the solution is the exact thing that she's advocating against, austerity. But not just for governments, for individuals as well. If the government gave the liability to individuals, it will force them to make better decisions. Maybe they'll work in the private sector to save for their education, or pick courses that have a higher chance of return on an investment, or pursue a cheaper pathway into the private sector with similar returns like trades and apprenticeships. That way, the government and individuals wouldn't take on additional unnecessary debt. It's possible to do both. Remember, education isn't a right, it's a privilege. You never have a right to someone else's labor. In order to cover the Liberal Convention this April, I'm asking for your help to fund the trip. Link in my bio if you can help, and it's much appreciated.